Hello, I'm Kimberlie Acosta. Welcome to the Native News Update on Wednesday, December 1st. Many of the stories you hear here can be found at our website, IndianCountryNews.com. And here's the news for the day from the Associated Press and other Native news sources. After years of delays and legal wrangling, a murder trial began December 1st for John Graham, the man accused of shooting a Native American activist 35 years ago on South Dakota's Pine Ridge Reservation. During his opening statement, South Dakota Attorney General Marty Jackley recounted for jurors what investigators believe happened in the 3 days leading up to the December 1975 slaying of Annie Mae Aquash. He told them that the defendant, John Graham, 55, shot her because AIM leaders thought she was a government informant. Graham's attorney, John Murphy, countered in his opening statement that the prosecution lacked a murder weapon, fingerprints, or other physical evidence to link Graham with Aquash's killing or the site of her death. Graham is charged with first and second degree murder in the slaying of Aquash and could be sent to prison for life if convicted. On another note, a former suspect in the slaying of the American Indian Movement activist Annie Mae Aquash must testify in the trial of the alleged shooter, a judge has ruled. Richard Marshal was found not guilty earlier this year of providing the gun used to kill Annie Mae Aquash in 1975. Now prosecutors want Marshal to testify at the trial of John Graham, who has pleaded not guilty to executing Aquash on South Dakota's Pine Ridge Reservation. Marshal's testimony could offer new insight into how and why Aquash was killed. The slaying became synonymous with the American Indian Movement and its clashes with the federal agents during the 1970s. Prosecutors have offered Marshal immunity. Marshal said this week he intended to use his Fifth Amendment right not to incriminate himself when testifying. Delaney said state immunity made that unnecessary. Hanna said that prosecutors only wanted Marshal to testify so they could charge him with perjury if he was found to be lying under oath, a charge that is not blocked by the state's offer of immunity. Delaney upheld his ruling despite Hanna's objections for a second time on December 1st. Family members of slain woodcarver John T. Williams gathered in court on November 30th in search of answers into their loved one's death. An inquest into Williams' shooting death by Officer Ian Burke has been set to begin on January 10th. The facts of the case will be laid out in the open through the process. For instance, police said Williams was holding a knife and refused to put it down when Burke opened fire. They released a photo of the knife in which the blade was seen open. But an attorney representing the Williams family released a photo taken at the scene that shows that the knife was on the ground and the blade was closed. Now the questions about what happened that day will be played out in court. The NCAA says that the University of North Dakota and the State Board of Education have already decided to change the school's Fighting Sioux nickname and logo, and the issue is settled despite a recent request to reconsider. Spirit Nation members who favor the university retaining the Fighting Sioux nickname sent an email to the NCAA on November 29th asking it to re-examine a 2007 legal settlement led to the logo's name upcoming retirement. NCAA spokesman Eric Christensen said November 30th that the university and the state board have already decided to make the change. The Seneca Nation is seeking control of a northern Pennsylvania hydropower operation in a move toward economic diversity that Seneca leaders say would also right a historic wrong. The Western New York Nation, best known for its tax-free cigarette sales and 3 casinos, announced November 30th that it has filed a preliminary application with the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission for a license to operate the Seneca Pumped Storage Project at Kinzua Dam in the Allegheny River. The current 50-year lease held by First Energy Corp of Akron, Ohio, expires in 2015. An American Indian dugout canoe believed to be 500 to 800 years old has been recovered from the muck of a lake bed south of Tallahassee, Florida. State archaeologists said that the 23-foot-long canoe is unusual because of its well-preserved and each end is finely carved. More than 350 dugout canoes have been found in Florida, some dating back 6,000 years, but most are degraded from repeated periods of wetting and drying. The canoe was exposed when Lake Munson was drawn down. Crawfordville resident Dennis Jones first reported the canoe to the Florida Museum of History. From east of the Hudson River and up through New England, efforts are underway to save what's become a rare species of rabbit, the New England Cottontail. It's a species that was stapled for Native Americans and earlier settlers, but it is now threatened by habitat loss. In an attempt to avoid placing the rabbit on the endangered species list, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service is trying to increase its numbers by creating new habitat. The idea is to protect existing habitat and to manage it differently to encourage thick shrubs and undergrowth. Because the cottontail's low numbers aren't driven by predators, Tom Eagle of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service says the work should help boost cottontail populations. And that's the latest roundup of news from Indian Country on this edition of the Native News Update. I'd like to thank you for joining me, and have a grand day.